Black Wolf, and I am reading The False Prince Part 9. This is a really short chapter. I think it's about 5 pages long, so it's not going to be really long. So, here we go. An hour seemed to pass before Connor continued. When he finally did, it was in hushed tones, as if he expected the servants' ears were pressed against the doors of our room. Some of you may believe you've already guessed my plan, he began, but I assure you it's not treason. Indeed, in a roundabout way, it may prevent treason in King Ecgbert's court. Carthia is on the brink of civil war, and very few citizens are aware of it. A major change is coming to this country. What is it? Tobias asked. We all had the same question, but Connor's glare reflected his irritation at being interrupted. I will come to that in a moment, he said. Do you remember what I told you about the Veldergraft? He had long planned for this day, and even now has begun to amass those loyal to him so that he can force the rest of us to give him the king's crown. But other regions are also aspiring to the crown. They are quietly gathering their supporters. In 2 weeks, war will erupt in Carthia. It will split the country along the lines of loyalty or their alliances, and they pit families against each other, friends against friends, and town against town. Thousands will inevitably die in that war. Avenia, the country of your origin sage, is watching closely, waiting for an opportunity to strike. They are hungry for our rich farmlands and the minerals our mountains provide. When Carthia is weakest and most divided, Avenia will strike and swallow up Carthia with all the force of a tidal wave. Avenia is a cesspool at best, and generation will be no better. Connor tilted his head at me. Don't pretend to look horrified at my worst stage. You know my description of Avenia is true. It is, I quietly agreed. Then you hope to prevent civil war, Tobias said. But you said yourself that you would never hope to become king. Do you remember this morning when I asked you how many heirs King Ecgbert has? Connor said. What was your answer, Sage? 2, but Tobias pointed out I was wrong. There is only the Crown Prince Darius still alive. Ecgbert's younger son was lost at sea. The younger son was named Jaron. Since coming to court, I have been told many stories about him, some of which could not possibly be true, with the castle still standing in one piece. I heard he set fire to the throne room as a child, Tobias said, and he challenged the king of Mendenwold to a duel of honor when he was 10 years old, Roden added. He lost, of course, but not by much, so the story goes. We've all heard the stories, I snapped. What's the point? Let me finish, Connor said. 4 years ago, when he was nearly 11 years of age, Jaron was to be sent north to the country of Brimar. Always a friend to Carthia. He was sent there not only to be educated abroad, but frankly to stop embarrassing the king and queen. However, on the way, his ship was attacked by pirates. There were no survivors. Pieces of the boats washed ashore for months, but Jaron's body was never found. I did hear about it once, I said. Avenia was accused of hiring pirates, and if King Ecgbert had any proof, he would have gone to war. At least you know about your own country, Connor said. It probably was Avenia. Piracy is certainly their style. Some say the pirates have more power there than the Avenian king because Ecgbert couldn't rule out the possibility that a border country to Avenia, Galeen, had hired them. Both countries have easy access to the waters where Jaron's ship went down. My father followed that news carefully, I said. He didn't want war, no matter what else was sacrificed. If he was still alive, my father would have been honored to fight on behalf of Carthia, Tobias said. I'm not the son of a coward. It would have felt good to defend my father's honor by punching Tobias in the face. But although my father was not a coward, he would have not avoided being in a war at any cost. That fact was one of the last things he and I ever fought about. 3 regents have made the trip to Isiel, the seaport town from which Prince Jaron's ship launched. They seek any proof of his death, or his life. His life? Roden sat forward in his chair. It's possible Jaron's alive? A body has never been found, Roden, but if Prince Jaron were alive, then he would be the next in line of the throne. No Veldergraft or any other noble could claim it, and Carthia would be saved from civil war. Then Avenia would not attack. But it's irrelevant, Tobias said. Ecgbert and Aaron rule now. Eventually, Crown Prince Darius will take the throne. Connor leaned in closer to us. And this is the greatest secret of your lives thus far. They are dead. All 3 of the loyal family. of the royal family. The few of us who know the truth have said the royal family is on a diplomatic mission to Galeen. Meanwhile, their bodies secretly lie far beneath the castle. We sat there, beyond shock and too horrified to breathe. The news was not just one, but all 3 royals were dead. It was impossible to bear. My stomach grew queasy at the thought of it, but I pushed those feelings down. See, this... How did they die? I whispered. Murder. We believe they were administered some sort of poison at supper. They never awoke. Any suspects? Roden asked. Connor dismissed the question with a wave of his hand. Don't be naive. Egbert had many enemies, and frankly, I wouldn't trust most of his friends. I believe all 3 of family members were intended victims, clearing the path for a noble to become king. So, was it Vildergraf? I asked. A lot of regions suspect him, but there's no evidence of it. Connor said, we shall see who puts themselves forward to be king, and then judge. And you hope to find Prince Jaren and stop the nobles from fighting over the throne, Tobias said. Not exactly, Connor said. Prince Jaren is long dead, and I can prove it. How? I said. Connor smiled. I'm afraid for now I must ask you to trust me on that. It's my secret and mine alone. However, since the regents are unaware of my proof that their trip to Israel is only to end any official doubt before their king is chosen, that is where you come in. Because you see, many Carthians have small hopes that Jaren is alive. Nobody has seen him for nearly 4 years. He would be 14 today, about the same age as you boys. Surely the 3 of you have noticed certain physical similarities between one another. He paused a moment and his smile widened. You also have similarities in appearance to Prince Jaren, as he might look today. My plan is simple, really. I intend to convince the court that Prince Jaren is one of you. Ooh. Okay. I know that was a short chapter, and so just please look up The False Prince The False Prince audiobook part 10, and it will definitely be there because I love reading this. So you guys, please subscribe, or at least listen and tune into the next chapter. So, see you laters.